Hi, everyone. I want to share my story, which changed my life. My husband was cheating on me with my former best friend, and I didn't even know where to start because the feeling hit me like a punch to the gut. But I'll try to start from the beginning so you can feel the full scale of this tragedy. We had been together since I was 19, and he was 22 at the time. 6 years of marriage, 2 kids, and I was 6 months pregnant with our third. 2 years ago, my father was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. He was my only parent. My mom had been gone since I was 12. And I honestly thought that nothing could break me more than the thought of losing my dad. His laughter was a separate melody in our home, and his hugs were the place where I felt whole. Even when the world seemed to be falling apart, 5 months ago, the doctor said something that will stick in my mind forever. Months, not years. And from that moment, my dad started fading. He would confuse names, forget gifts, and look at our dog saying, "Wow, nice dog, where did you get it?" I laughed to keep from crying. Because when someone close disappears, not in body, but in fragments of memory, it hurts differently, Dot, and in that moment, my husband was my support. He held my hand, made tea, took the kids to play, and said, "I'm here." And I believed him. I believed every word. When we found out that Dad didn't have much time left, he told me I should quit my job because it was hard for me and that I needed to take care of myself and the baby. A month later, we found out I was pregnant again, and I did quit my job. And now listen to the most painful part. The friend I trusted with everything had been with me since childhood. Our moms grew up together. She was like a sister to me, my person. When I found out about my dad's illness, I went to her, fell into her arms, and she held me for hours. I thought that in moments like that, you truly see who is yours, Dot. And now, here comes the surprise. That morning, my husband's alarm went off, one of the 5 he usually set. I grabbed his phone to turn off the extra ones, and I saw a message from her. On the lock screen, written in black and white, "I'm guessing if there's still no furious pregnant woman on my doorstep, you haven't told her about us yet?" The world just froze. I went to the bathroom with his phone and read the conversation. 4 months. They had been seeing each other, texting, building their little secret worlds while I was fighting for my father and growing our third child. And he looked perfect. Carried me in his arms, cooked, hugged me, made tea, listened to everything. No signs. No suspicious delays or late work nights. They acted like brother and sister. She called him brother, and he let her use that brother under the table. I sat there with the phone thinking, how? How can someone live through this and not break? Because I hadn't changed. I didn't become cold. I didn't become cruel. I was still making breakfast, asking, "How was your day?" Stroking his back when he fell asleep. But now, I was losing everything in a single moment. The plan was simple. Today, nothing. I want the last 24 hours of silence. Tomorrow, I will tell him everything, and her. I will erase her from my life like dust. And here's a question for you, the ones listening. What would you do in my place? Would you say a word to her, or let her disappear like a shadow? If you saw a message like that, would it break you or make you harder? The following days felt like living in a parallel reality. I lay next to my husband, who kissed me on the forehead and said, "Sleep, my love. You've been so tired lately." And at the same time, I knew his lips were touching another, my friend, my sister. Can you feel that red line? The one that only people without a heart cross? I walked around the house with a stone face, but inside everything was screaming. I thought, how can you hug me so sincerely, knowing you're cheating? And even worse, how could she hold me in her arms while I was suffering because of Dad, and at the same time? There's a limit after which something inside a person breaks. Mine was already cracking, but still holding. I remember a moment in the kitchen, cutting apples for the kids, my hands shaking so much that the knife slipped. I thought, what if I just endure this? Pretend I don't know? Because of the pregnancy, because of dad, because of the kids, because life is already falling apart. But then another thought came, if I stay silent, he will do it again. And then I realized I had to act. Be honest, would you have kept the family or broken it apart, even if the family was all you had? Write in the comments because I really want to hear different opinions. A few days after I read the conversation, I gathered my courage and told everything to my dad. He sat in his chair, gaunt and thin, but his eyes sharpened abruptly. Daughter, he said, this is not love and this is not family. It was painful to hear that from someone who was barely holding on to life. We talked about business, documents, and protecting the future of the children. My husband, as if nothing had happened, suggested trying family therapy. He who had slept with my friend, who knew that I didn't know. In therapy, he sat across from me and spoke so sincerely about the wall between us, that he misses me and wants to win me back. I listened silently because I was pregnant and waiting for the right moment. I needed a plan, not emotions. The therapist said, I see a lot of untold things. But how could she know how much was hidden? 2 weeks after therapy, my husband came with a gift, a post-marriage agreement, so I would feel safe, so I would know he was with me, not because of circumstances. The irony was enormous. I realized this was exactly what I needed. He signed it himself. Fine. All I had to do was wait for the right moment to take the children and leave, because the end was inevitable. And here's a question for those listening. Could you sit across from someone who betrayed you and act as if everything was normal while gathering documents, planning your escape, and contacting a lawyer? My patience was barely enough. The plan was simple. Wait until he went on a business trip, take the documents, tell him everything to his face, kick him out, and never let him control my life again. When he left, I collected the documents, handed the children over to my husband's sister, who was on my side, and waited. It was the calm before the storm, a peace that is never truly peaceful. Evening. The door opens and I hear his heavy step, the familiar smell, the routine that made me sick. He enters the kitchen, sees me, and immediately understands what happened, because I no longer hide my gaze. I don't play a role. I stand and look at him as if he were a stranger. Why didn't you answer my calls? He asks. Because I didn't want to, I reply. He tries to touch my shoulder, but I step back. In that moment, something clicks inside me, like a door slamming shut. And I speak the first words that broke the air. I want a divorce. That's it. No theatrics. No tears. No yelling. He just blinked, as if he was waiting for this, as if he had long prepared a response, and quietly, almost calmly says, "What do you know?" Direct admission, no struggle. Something cold rises inside me. I sit on a chair and say, I know everything and I want to hear it from you. When did it start? He inhales, sits across from me and says, 10 years ago. 10 years of lies. 10 years of a double life. 10 years while you gave birth to our children, organized celebrations, supported, built the family. He recounts it as if reading instructions, the flirting, the office kisses, the sex on the day of her wedding. White noise filled my head. I could barely hear my own breathing. All I could think, this is the same man who held my hand when I cried over Dad. The same one who put our child to sleep. The same one who called me his world. I was afraid to hear one question. Did you love me? Pause, cold as metal. I did, he says, but not like her. The ground cracked under my feet. From that crack flew all my faith in people. I didn't scream. Not yet. I just said, leave the house. Your things are in the garage. From now on, we communicate only through my brother and only about the children. He started saying sorry, and that's when it broke me. I screamed so loudly that the neighbors probably went silent behind the wall. You do not apologize. 10 years you looked me in the eyes and lied. 10 years you made me believe we were a family. You never existed. Do you understand? You are a stranger and always have been a stranger. He took his things and left. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, pregnant, with a broken heart, but for the first time in a long time, free. After the door closed behind him, the house became so quiet that I could hear my own heartbeat. The silence wasn't empty, it was honest. No lies, no masks. No more of his I love you, after which he went to another. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, holding onto the table, and for the first time in a long time felt something like life. Yes, the pain was deeper than skin, but somewhere beneath it, light was breaking through. The greatest evil in my home had finally left. The next few days I lived on autopilot. I took the children from my husband's sister and told them that Dad is temporarily living somewhere else. They accepted it more calmly than I feared. Children intuitively sense the truth and have long noticed that their mother cried at night. I filed for official separate living, signed the documents, and unpacked myself again. Then I decided to sell the house. That place was no longer a home. It was the grave of our marriage. I wanted a fresh start where the walls didn't remember the lies. I moved closer to family. As the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. And sometimes the village is what saves the mother too. A year passed. The pain didn't disappear, but it taught me to walk alongside it, not to drown. I am not perfect. I am still learning to live without the person I loved or thought I loved. I am learning to accept that some people do not cheat by accident. Their betrayal is their nature. My ex is now with her. Let them torment each other. I will not return to that circus. Her husband, the diplomat, also found out the truth. We even met for coffee, just as people whose lives were broken in the same way. He is building a new life abroad, and I am genuinely happy for him. My children are my heart. We attend therapy, build new traditions, travel small routes, and create new memories to replace the dark ones. I decided one thing: the divorce will not define the future of my children. I have become stronger, sharper, braver, real. Life only breaks those who don't rise. I have risen. A question for those listening to this story until the end: have you ever left a toxic relationship where lies had been under the surface for years? What helped you break free? Would you forgive, or would you do the same? Close the door and start a new life? Write in the comments, because someone listening to this story might be standing at a crossroads. Your words could save someone from what broke me. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a comment and subscribe. It will motivate me to look for new stories and keep writing. And don't forget to share what changes you'd like to see next time.